Hello friends, and welcome back to the Air Effect. Today, I forgot to do my intro. If you are new here, my name is Christina and I run this channel because I like old books, I like vintage clothes, and I want to live a practical vintage lifestyle. Today I'm going to share a lookbook with all of you that is inspired by like woodland fairy tales, Snow White, things like that. But I have kind of an exciting announcement at the end of the video if you want to hang out all the way through. So I thought I would sit down and chat about all of these outfits and then make my exciting announcement that is going to happen in the new year, because I'm really excited about it. I'm really kind of nervous too. I've been working really hard on this for a month or two now, or maybe more than that. I don't know. I've been wanting to do this thing for a couple of months, and I've been working really hard on getting it all set up and running smoothly, and I'm really excited. Some of you might know if you follow my Instagram or if you follow my Facebook or whatever, you might already know this, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to share a lookbook that is kind of inspired by woodland fairy tales, and it is all wintry, and then we're going to chat about the big announcement at the end of the video. So let's get into the lookbook.
So this whole lookbook has a little bit of a theme related to the super exciting surprise at the end, and that was kind of woodland fairy tales, Snow White, all of that. So this first outfit is directly inspired by Snow White. Ever since I dyed my hair darker, people have been telling me that I look like Snow White and that I need to do a Snow White look. So here we are doing a Snow White look. I thrifted this beautiful 1990s skirt while I was out the last time, and I layered it over my favorite dress, which I will link down below. You guys are always commenting on these dresses. I have them in several colors. I love these dresses, but I really love this outfit, and honestly I kind of want to wear something like this all the time. And by the way, the hair is a wig. The second outfit is inspired by the Evil Queen. I thought it was fun to wear all black with a touch of green, because you know how in Disney movies every villain is green? Well, here we are. I am sort of the villain in this 1980s blazer that, again, I thrifted, and a skirt from Amazon. I will link down below. It's one of my favorite skirts. Again, I have several colors. I wear them all the time. They're super mixable. I love the gold details on this blazer. I think they're super cool. And this hat is also super cool. The fun thing about this outfit is that it's all 80s, but it can be styled to look super 40s depending on your hair and makeup and all of that. The next outfit is inspired by Granny from like Little Red Riding Hood vibes. You know, I wanted to do a grandma inspired outfit, but I ended up really loving this. I thought the glasses were going to look cooler than they did, to be honest. They look a little bit too 70s for me. I wanted this to be kind of like 1940s English countryside in the winter, with the layered sweater over the sweater vest and the blouse and the wool skirt. I love this outfit. I want to wear iterations of this throughout the entire winter. It was so warm and cozy, and I think this might be my favorite look from the lookbook. I don't know. I like all of them a lot. I really can't decide. But this sweater, let me tell you, it was so super warm. This was probably the warmest I felt throughout the whole lookbook. I loved this a lot. So then we get to the part where, like kind of a bumbling klutz that I am, I accidentally deleted the footage for this. So you get pictures instead. It was voted on the community tab to just see pictures and a voiceover. So this is inspired kind of like Maleficent the Raven. I really love this cardigan. I think it's a super cool cardigan. And I wanted to go for a 50s vibe. Again, it's an 80s sweater, but I think this whole lookbook is kind of like how you can take more modern eras and style them in a more vintage way. This outfit ended up looking so elegant, and I love the way the beading pairs with the all black and the fur hat. And I got compliments from the mail lady because she showed up while I was filming this and she really liked it. Next up, we have what I like to call like Belle in the Snow. This is kind of the same color as the dress that Belle wears in Beauty and the Beast when she's in the snow, so I named it Belle in the Snow. I mean, it's a very 80s iteration of that outfit, but I ended up really loving it. I think this is such a cute dress. It's very simple, but with the right accessories, you can make it super cute. Unfortunately, this beret does not exist anymore, and I'm really sad about that because they had a blue version that I really wanted, and they don't have it anymore. The back of it is embroidered with a bunny. I wear this beret all the time. It's one of my favorites, but I will link the seller down below because these are some pretty great cardigans. And then lastly, we have what I like to call a rebellious Victorian lady in the snow because of the pants. I don't know why this is giving me super Victorian vibes, but I love the way this outfit turned out. I felt very confident in this outfit, and I think I need to wear it for real and not just for a lookbook. I'm so sad that I lost the footage of this outfit because I loved it so much. Hopefully you all understand. I know you all understand over on the community tab that, you know, things happen. Life happens. Hopefully, even though I didn't get to share actual video footage, you still enjoyed all of the looks. And that is it for this lookbook.
So that was the lookbook, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And now let's get into the announcement, and that is that Air House Vintage is coming back. A lot of you know that I have been a vintage seller for about 10 years, and I have kind of gone through a lot of stages. I have gone through so many stages of vintage selling. From the time when my shop was called Fancy Feathers to Storybook Vintage to the Owl and the Peacock, it's gone through so many changes. I tried selling on Etsy and Poshmark and Instagram, and I've sold on Facebook a lot. I had my own Facebook group. Like, there have been so many iterations of my vintage selling because I was trying to make it a thing that I loved again. When I first started selling vintage, I loved it. I loved being able to style the items. It was so fun to photograph them and connect with people who loved vintage, and like, I loved that. I loved it so much. But then somewhere in the middle of my vintage selling game, it just kind of became a hustle that didn't have a lot of joy for me, and it had a lot of stress, and I just didn't love it anymore. It was taking over my house. Things weren't selling. My most lucrative market was always things that I had worn myself and shared a photo of myself wearing, or things that were plus size, and I didn't have either of those things available. So for a long time it was kind of like, okay, well, we need the money, so I'm just gonna throw a bunch of things online for sale and hope that they sell enough to make the money we need. There was no joy in it for me. And there were a lot of little processes in vintage selling that really dragged it down. I couldn't style the items. They were taking over my house. I had way too much that I needed to list. I was overwhelmed. I hated making invoices. I really wanted the effect of like selling on Etsy or something like that, but Etsy takes so many fees, and then PayPal took more fees, and sometimes I would make an invoice and wait 3 or 4 days for somebody to pay me. Sometimes I would have to create a label from scratch. There were so many roadblocks, so many things piling up and sucking all of the joy out of it. So I quit, and I started to miss it. But I didn't want to come back to vintage selling and feel the same amount of stressors that I had been feeling. I really didn't want to sell on Etsy because Etsy, there's just so many holes to jump through. I don't like the way that their listings work. They, of course, take a lot of fees. I just didn't like that. I also didn't want to sell on Poshmark because on Poshmark you have to constantly share your stuff in order to get it sold, and it's just a lot of work that I don't have time for. And Instagram sales worked okay, but again, I had to take people's invoices or have them pay me directly, and there were just a lot of things like, well, you accidentally paid me friends and family, so now I have to manually create your label, and then I have to send you your tracking, and I don't have a good way to keep track of this, and it was just a mess. So for the last 2 months, I've had this idea to come back to vintage selling, but change up quite a few things. The first thing that I wanted to do, the biggest change, is that I want to sell to a upper mid-size and plus size market. I don't want to stock things that I cannot style on myself. I want to be able to style it on myself in my style, in a way that makes me happy, in a way that I can also glean from creatively. I could then have photos for Instagram. I can have video here for YouTube. If I want to make a lookbook and it's calling for a style that I don't normally wear, I could source it and style it and put it up for sale in my shop. And it can all be one process. I really want vintage selling to kind of be part of my creative process because that makes me happy. It brings me a lot of joy. Of all of these outfits that I just showed you, there is at least one thing that I was wearing that will be for sale in my shop. That was the big secret of the lookbook, is that it's kind of partially marketing because I'm reopening my vintage shop. The second big change is that I'm not only going to be selling vintage. Vintage will be my focus. Retro styling, the style that I have, will be the focus of everything that I put up for sale. But some of it might be modern, because when I am sourcing, and that means when I am thrifting, sometimes I find pieces that I know could be styled in a really cute way, but it's not vintage. And in the past, I just had to leave it behind because Etsy doesn't allow you to sell vintage, to sell the stuff that's not vintage. And there was just this roadblock in my head of like, it's not vintage, nobody's gonna want it. And that's not true. There are a lot of people who will take modern items and style them in a vintage way, especially when you are a larger size like I am. You have to rely on a lot of more either like 80s and 90s pieces or just flat out modern pieces to style in a vintage way. So there will be things that aren't vintage, but they are still vintage inspired. I'm just going to source things that bring me joy that I think are cute and put them up for sale. It's almost going to be like a shop my closet, except a little more curated than that because my closet's chaotic. And of course, in every listing, I will note the era, if it's modern or vintage or whatever. I will talk about all of that. You will know if you're buying vintage or modern. I'm not just gonna be one of those sellers where you never really know if it's a real vintage or just a fake vintage. The third big change is that I have my own website to sell from. I'm no longer going through Poshmark, Instagram, Facebook, Etsy, eBay. I'm selling from my own website. I have been working really hard on smoothing out. I hope that I have smoothed out all of the bumps and that this can all go smoothly. I think I have set everything up correctly. I hope I have set everything up correctly. But if I haven't, I guess y'all will be learning with me. And I'm really excited to have my own website because it just looks the way I've always wanted it to look. And I have full control. I can list things how I want to. I can list what I want to. I'm not constrained by anything from anyone selling platform. It looks pretty. And it's attached to my blog, which is kind of cool because then I can it's all one thing. I don't remember how many changes that was, but the next thing is that I will be keeping my my stock kind of small. What I want to do is have a theme and maybe gather 10 to 15 items that I think fit within that theme. This one was woodland fairy tales, so there's Snow White, there's Red Riding Hood, there's Beauty and the Beast, any kind of wintry fairy tales. Everything kind of will go in that theme. They will be named fun names relating to the theme, and I don't know whether I'm going to do like 4 seasonal themed collections, and I say collections because a lot of people think when I say a collection they think I'm making things, like I'm designing stuff, and I'm not designing stuff. It's vintage and retro items that I have put together in a collection that has a theme. So I don't know if I'm going to do 4 seasonal collections or if I'm going to do maybe monthly collections, or if I'm just going to do kind of maybe like holiday themed, because I know I want to do a Valentine's Day themed drop, and I know I want to do like some Hobbit style ones in the summertime, and I want to do Christmassy ones. Obviously I'm doing a winter one. I have a lot of ideas, and that is another part of big joy for me, is being able to style things around a theme. It just works in my brain, and that will also just allow me to keep things small. And also, if I keep it within a certain theme, then I can style things together so that almost everything you see in my shop is for sale. If it's on my body and it's not an accessory, but sometimes if it is an accessory, it will be fish sale. It also makes it a lot simpler because I just have to do one photo shoot for, say, the granny outfit, the sweater, and the vest, and the skirt are all for sale. And so there I've just photographed 3 items in one photo shoot. The last change, which is kind of a smaller one, is that I'm trying to make my packaging compostable. I want my packaging to be recyclable. I want my items to be wearable. I'm going to try as hard as I can to have as many natural fibers as I can, because again, I just know that those are more comfortable. So I'm trying to source, you know, cotton, rayon, linen, wool, leather, all the more natural fibers. And that's not to say there's not going to be polyester or plastic fibers in some things that I source, because in the bigger picture, this is about keeping everything out of the landfill as much as I can out of the landfill. But I will be trying to focus on just fabrics that feel comfortable, because let's face it, polyester just isn't that comfortable. I think that is it. I think that is all that I wanted to say about my vintage shop. I am going to drop a little collection of about 10 items tomorrow, January 1st, for my first little shop reveal. It's all kind of Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, woodland fairy tale themed. Everything, I think everything is vintage except for maybe one shirt. I'm almost 100% positive that everything is vintage except for one shirt. So that's really exciting, and I just hope to have fun with it. I really want it to be a space for especially like plus size vintage lovers to go and purchase. And I forgot to say, one of the other big things that I'm going to try very hard to do with my shop is to keep my own costs down, so that in turn my listings can be affordable. I would really like to keep everything at like $50 or $60 and under. There might be an occasional thing that's like a lot more. It just depends on what the item is. But for the most part, I really want to keep my shop affordable, because I've always been a very thrifty person. I would really like my shop to be an affordable place to go. That's it. If you reached this long, I don't even know how long this outro is, but if you have watched this entire thing, thank you. I hope that you'll at least come visit and peruse my shop, even if you don't buy anything. I'm really excited. I'm really nervous. I'm really hoping that everything's going to run smoothly. I have all of my items. I should have all of my items scheduled by the time you see this video. I should have everything scheduled and ready to just launch tomorrow on January 1st. And of course the shop will be linked down below. But yeah, that is it. Thank you for sticking around through this entire little shop intro, past the lookbook, past all the fun parts and into the talky parts. I hope that all of you have a wonderful new year. I hope that 2022 will be looking up for all of us. I will keep trying to update the community page with some of the other things that I've been going through, because all of you know I sprained my knee and I lost a cap tooth, and we're still trying to schedule that, and I cut off the tip of my finger, which is finally almost better. And our bathroom flooded, and all of those things are kind of finally being taken care of, and I'm really hoping 2022 is a little bit more chill. But that is it for this video. Thank you for sticking around. Don't forget, if you would like to support my channel in more ways than just liking and subscribing and commenting, all of which are valid and wonderful ways to support me, and I always appreciate all of it. But you can go down and check out my Ko-Fi page, where you can tip me for the work that I do here on my channel. You can also check out my merch, which I still haven't designed anything new, but I'm working on it. Or you can visit my vintage shop if you would like to shop secondhand, plus size, retro, and vintage items. I hope that wherever you are feeling safe and loved. I hope your 2022 starts out wonderfully with everything that you deserve. And until I see you again, have a beautiful day, and thank you for watching. Bye!